Afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to this new series of talk on legal design, organized together by our Digital Law Center with the Legal Design and Code Lab led by my colleague Aurélia Tamò-Larrieux. That takes place every month from today. Today is the kick-off of this series of talks until the end of 2025. So we are happy that you joined this one and happy if you continue with further talks in the coming month. A few welcoming words before giving the floor to my colleague Aurélia. To give some background, just to say that we are probably many to work on legal design or at least interested in that topic, how to make legal and complex information more accessible and understandable for its audience in a digital complex society characterized mostly by a power imbalance and information asymmetry, while most people struggle to understand legal and complex documents, which sometimes or mostly hinders access to justice. So this series of talk has the goal to understand and to demonstrate why legal design matters based on concrete use cases with legal design experts. The idea is also to contribute to the debate and to aims to federate or at least to engage with legal design experts. I'd like to give a special thanks to not only my team at the Digital Law Center, but mainly Aurélia. When we spoke about our respective projects, we immediately identified this topic, legal design, as a topic of interest to both, but Aurélia played an instrumental role in preparing this series with her network and friends. So I look forward that our respective centers start a collaboration with this series today with this kickoff that we have the chance to start today. Special thanks also to our speakers who will be presented in a minute by Aurélia. Few words about the agenda. The session is about 20 minutes with a 20 minutes presentation, Then the 20 minutes presentation will be followed by a Q&A session moderated by us, by Aurélia, for a total of 50-60 minutes. So we should be done by 4 p.m. European time, the latest. We are also happy to take over questions from you, from the audience, if you have observations or questions. So please feel free to use the Q&A session and also the chat function during the session. As this is an interdisciplinary group, I think it would be interesting to know if you can mention your name and background of interest, if you are law, design, or technology expert or interest. Also, with your permission, we would like to record this presentation session today. The speakers already agreed, and we are grateful to that. But just you to know, the session, the 20 minutes presentation will be recorded. Last but not least, as you know, this is a free online talk, so you are happy to join. We are happy if you'd like to join the next ones. You can just register on our website. You have the link for each session, and we would look forward to seeing you again. Now, happy to give the floor to Aurélia. Have a great talk, and I look forward to the presentation and discussion.
Thank you so much, Yaniv, for this great introduction, and thank you and the team at the Digital Law Center for making this happen. So this is great that we start this series off with also this great talk on breaking the complexity curse by Helena, Haapio, and Ebru, Metin, who are both also the driving forces behind a new cost action initiative that is pending approval. So it's an application on the European Legal Design Network and Legal Design Action. And really, fingers crossed, I hope this goes through and to hear also much more and be able to much more engage with the community in the coming years. Let me briefly introduce the two excellent speakers that are kicking off this series. So we have Helena Haapio, who on her website says or describes herself as a lawyer with a mission that aims at making legal contracts and law generally more useful and usable. So I really liked that statement. She shares her time between being a practitioner, a lawyer at the firm Lexpert, as well as being a researcher and academic at the University of Lausanne. She has co-developed different contract pattern design libraries. She has been a keynote speaker on multiple legal design events, and it's a great pleasure to be able to host you here today. So thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Together with her, we have Ebru Metin. here, who is also the CEO of an award-winning social enterprise, Legal Design Turkey. She has also led legal design initiatives and legal design centers in Turkey, is currently, though, based at TalTech, so in Tallinn in Estonia, and has been also one of these driving forces behind many of the legal design initiatives in Europe. So thank you, Ebru, very much for also being here today. With that introduction, I let you share the screen. We look very much forward to your presentation that, again, is being recorded. The discussions won't be recorded, but just the talk will be. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aurélia and Yaniv, for your kind invitation. And then I will now share my screen. We are very happy to be here today. On the screen. You can see my screen at the moment, I think, but with the...
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay,
yes.
now full screen, right? Like not the...
Now it's full screen, exactly.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
I was trying to do that. Sorry for the wait. So today, together with Helena Haapio, also she's my co-supervisor, we will be talking about breaking the complexity curse, the legal design revolution. And once again, thank you very much for the invitation. We thought that we would make some introductions, but Aurélia already mentioned my background very kindly. So I will only add that I also have a role in the European Legal Technology Association as an ambassador for a couple of years now. So I try to bring in legal design and legal tech also together. And as she mentioned, I'm based in Tallinn, Estonia at the moment doing my PhD. I'm in my third year. And hopefully next year I will be finishing. And maybe now I can give the floor to Helena, and then we can continue with our presentation.
Thank you, and it's great to see you all. Here's my introduction, and Aurélia already, I think, said most of it, so I won't be spending much time on this, but I wanted to just maybe add that I have been and am a contract lawyer and a proactive preventive lawyer. And what is that then? Not everyone knows proactive law or preventive law, and that's why I have an uninvited speaker with me. It's like a talking pocket doll. Can you, Ebru, maybe go to the next one? Because I don't seem to be able to properly make him talk, but he does. He speaks 4 sentences. And his most famous sentence is, "I'll see you in court." And I have him with me when I travel to events because he helps me make the distinction between proactive preventive lawyers and then litigating lawyers. What I do is not what you see on television or media shows or LA Law or these series where people win in court and then celebrate. My work is more about being invisible and helping people then avoid the need to go and litigate. So my work is about helping businesses, helping individuals use the law, use contracts, so that problems don't arise, no negative surprises. And really the root causes of problems we try to remove so that people are successful and reach their goals. And when there's no disappointment, then there needs not to be a legal dispute. And that's on a mission I've been on for 25 plus years now. And he, the pocket lawyer, is about to become famous because he's made his way to Rob Waller's new book. And I would like you to note the book. It's called Things an Information Designer Should Know. It's going to be an open access book. It's currently available on www.designthings.org. And you can get an access code if you write to Rob Waller, you can comment and get the book for free. So I would recommend you to read it, and my pocket lawyer would too, because it has his picture on it. He, by the way, once was appointed the best speaker of a major conference, so he's very likable too. And maybe enough of me and my pocket lawyer, and let's get to the topic.
Thank you, Helena. So this is the overview that we will be covering today. We thought that we would start with the key priorities, and then what is regulatory complexity, and later the impact on businesses. And we will continue with legal design, legal information design, contract design. We will share some strategies, practical examples, and then we will talk about stakeholder collaboration, technological integration, challenges and considerations, and then we will continue with the key points, future directions, and then we will have the questions and the discussion. But we are very much looking forward for your questions. And regarding our topic is actually, we together with Helena, we did a short study, I think I would say, and then for a call, and then this was also like very eye-opening for me in regard to thinking like how the regulatory complexity or the complex regulations are affecting the businesses, how these, especially in the sustainability field, how these compliance challenges divert the resources from innovation, and then the dilemma between competitiveness and sustainability, which is one of the biggest discussions about this corporate sustainability due diligence directive, for example, and the impact on it on the businesses and how businesses are reacting. It's like very interesting to see. And mostly the studies on regulatory complexity also indicate that environmental and sustainability laws frequently suffer from vague wording, technical phrasing, and inconsistent definitions. One of the things that we discovered, like for example, this corporate sustainability due diligence directive has almost 40 words in one sentence average, and usually the human mind is only paying attention to 15 to 20 words. So it is like a very basic, small the discovery for us, like really a huge impact on people who are trying to understand this regulation. And we suggest that the legal design offers a transformative, human-centered approach, and this is a very important key point for accessibility. One of the key issues, key priorities for the EU legislation is this interinstitutional agreement on better lawmaking, where the European Parliament, the Council, and the Commission agreed to promote simplicity, clarity, and consistency. And I would like to have your attention on the recital 2 from a lawyerly point of view, but it says also very importantly, as simple and as clear as possible, avoids overregulation and administrative burdens on citizens. So this is the mindset the institutions, when they are making the legislation, they should be taking into account. And when we are saying regulatory complexity, how we define it is actually the difficulty of understanding, implementing, and managing legal norms. And this complexity can stem from 5 different elements. These are content complexity, language complexity, structural complexity, presentation complexity, and volume complexity. And these have like separate meanings, where for example, the content complexity is expert content creating difficulty in understanding the substance. while language complexities, convoluted language creates barriers to understanding. And then the other three are, as you see in the table, lack of clear structure of navigation tools, inaccessible formats, lack of visual aid, and high volume of requirement sources overwhelming the users. So these are the dimensions that we think when we talk about regulatory complexity. And the impact on businesses is that, according to Eurostat, there are now 32, not now, but in 2024 numbers, there are 32 million enterprises in the EU. And regulatory complexity is somehow affecting them all. As we mentioned, that this dilemma between innovation and competitiveness and the compliance and contractual challenges. When there is more complex regulations, there are increased costs of compliance. It is harder to predict the like the potential results of compliance strategies, and finally, it hinders the proactive corporate engagement with sustainability goals. And as we suggest that legal design could be an element that would help us navigate the complexity. And for the ones maybe who are not familiar with the topic, we also added this slide where we explain what legal design is. And legal design is actually an interdisciplinary and proactive approach that uses human-centered design to enable desirable outcomes and prevent the causes of problems from arising and developing in the conflicts and disputes. There are three core principles. First of all, human centricity. It is very key to this element. And secondly, proactive approach, which Helena will be explaining to us a little bit later. And then interdisciplinary collaboration, where we integrate insights from law, design, technology, and business. But one of the things that I would like to say is that I don't want to simplify too much, but like when people ask me, what do you do for your PhD? I usually say, try to explain legal design in a way that we try to solve legal problems with design methods and techniques, while always putting human in the center and while always taking into account a proactive approach. So this is also like a way of explaining it in an informal way as well. And yes, now I give floor to Helena.
Thank you, Ebru. And this is now on the proactive law still and proactive approach more generally. The EESC, the European Economic and Social Committee, published in the official journal its opinion on the proactive law approach. And I had the pleasure of being the expert in this work. It's available in all EU languages. So if you're interested in the vocabulary, which is really rather new, it's about prevention first, do no harm. And that part of proactive law is originating from 75 years ago, actually. Lou Brown, a US professor and practitioner, he borrowed from preventive medicine, ideas that we want to help people stay in good legal health and avoid legal trouble. So to that, we added what we call the promotive or constructive or transformative dimension, which is about helping people reach their goals. And that is really requiring making contracts and law accessible for all. It's about making the goals clear so that they can be shared and clear, and then we can build the milestones that take us the direction where we want to go. So it's about managing projects and doing things in a team, lawyers contributing to a team where other people bring different understandings and skills to the table. And most projects we cannot do alone. We cannot plan them alone. We cannot even write the contracts alone. I used to work in a cross-border context, cross-border contracts. I usually say that my background is in heavy metal because it was about shipbuilding and diesel engines and paper finishing equipment and that sort of thing. And we negotiated contracts about them. And I needed to help the engineers and product managers and other people understand the legal aspects of the contracts. And they needed to help me do my work and those parts of the contracts, technical, operational, financial, legal, all needed to be glued together in a meaningful way. And that made me understand that just lawyers talking to other lawyers won't ever really reach or engage these other professions. So we need to learn to listen and talk in ways that are understandable for everyone. And we also will need to do our contracts in that way. So it started early based on this proactive approach, my mission on simplifying contracts. It's also about lawyers as designers. I wrote those words together because I saw that was my mission and my vision. I didn't yet know what it meant because I didn't know design then. But now I understand that that is actually what we do, part of what we do. And we also need to be coaches and we need to work with clients as part of cross-professional teams. So not just advisors or stay in a law office, we also need to be in the field and make sense to the people in the field. And my dissertation, actually, 2013, I defended it. It's called Next Generation Contracts, a paradigm shift. So let's go to the next slide. Legal information design is what I have done most of the part of my involvement with legal design. It's about content, language, structure, and presentation. And I've learned so much from information designers that without them, I would never have been able to simplify things the way I now can, together with them and with tools that have appeared since when I did my PhD. So Ebru and I have been writing about these things together, and we plan to continue. There's more to legal design, of course, than legal information design or legal communication design. But today we will be focusing on legal information design, which is really about using human-centered design to make regulations and contracts more accessible and more actionable. And this is my dissertation. The beautiful cover is made by Stefania Passera, whom some of you might know. She's a designer. We used to work as a team, lawyer-designer team, and we practiced what she knew and knows and what I knew and know in a project in Finland. 2010 we started, and we really are continuing on that track. So it's been exciting to see how these things develop and are adopted in business and in practice elsewhere. So at that time, 2013, I had this vision, but it wasn't really, without Stefania, I couldn't have done anything because I can't draw. I can't do infographics. I just needed her to help me bring the vision actionable and tangible. And now suddenly we have strategies and we have tools that can make it happen. We have the ISO standard on plain language. It's really interesting. I would encourage you to have a look. And there's a new standard in the works on legal communication. So an ISO standard on plain language for legal communication. That's going to be groundbreaking. Then we have contract and legal design tools, such as design patterns. And I'm going to show a few examples on those. Stefania and I collected a library of design patterns for contracts. And then the most recent tool, AI, which is amazing. We can do so many things with AI that we could not do when we started. So let's move on and see. This is the visualization journey of mine. It began 1996 when I saw in education, contract education, executive education, how images could help people get engaged and even excited about contracts. Because I usually saw that people dislike contracts and don't want to read contracts. So visualization became a driver of contract innovation. First, we did visualization in contract education, then visualization about contracts, guides, and such. And that was really the turning point. We started to embed images in contracts themselves. So visualization in contracts. And that is where contract design really started to develop. And finally, and you may have seen some examples, visualization as contracts. That's comic contracts, for example. Robert de Roy in South Africa, in Cape Town, an attorney, he developed the idea of contracts for illiterate people. His mission is designing for dignity. He doesn't think it's right, and I don't think it's right, to ask people to sign contracts that they don't understand. Even if they may be literate, they might not know the language, and still they are expected to remember and know what they are expected to do. Fruit pickers, fruit packers, and various people have benefited so much from Robert's work. You will find his work if you Google comic contracts or creative contracts, then it will appear and you'll see wonderful examples of visuals as contracts. And various things, proactive law, preventive law, quality management, human centricity, these were and are the values on which we have built the approach we know as contract design, and later from contract design developed legal design. I've edited books on both topics, and we are currently working on an encyclopedia of legal design, a concise encyclopedia for Edward Elgar. So there's so much to write about, and if you're looking for topics to research, I would welcome you on this journey. It's truly exciting, and it can help so many people make legal work so much more interesting and appealing and helpful for the people who benefit from it.
Yes. Regarding Helena's topic, I would only add, like, for the strategies, maybe the stakeholders, engaging them iteratively, like this legal design gives us the potential to be able to connect and like get the insights from different users. And establishing these feedback loops will also continually help us to communicate with them. But of course, we would need to use plain language and visualization and leverage the technology in order to also support this stakeholder collaboration. And regarding the modularity, it is very important also to structure the content in a way that is reusable, adaptable, and updatable modules. Not only give the big content, but like dividing into modules that would enhance the understanding of people. So regarding time-wise, maybe we can skip this one example, but you can check it out. It is Sato company's code of conduct. So you can take a look. It's an example of legal design applied to the business and human rights field. And we can continue maybe contacting the pattern library.
This is the library Stefania Pasera, and I put together for World CC. It was called IACCM, International Association for Contract and Commercial Management then, but now it's World CC. This is an open access free resource, and I would encourage you to go and check what we've got in there. This is the front page, and let's go to the next one. This is an example pattern family called layering. This is one of my favorites. In the library, we have 10 pattern families. Visuals are one of them, but there's emphasis there, explainers, there's various other ones, layout, navigation, organizing, and so on. So we collected ways to use design tools, design patterns to solve often occurring problems in communicating complex legal texts or complex contracts. And layering here, you can see it's the pattern family, and then we have listed for each pattern and pattern family where it works, how it can help. So if the challenge is that people don't read what you write, people don't read the contract, or they don't even know the key points. So then you can choose from the sample we have, layering being one of them. And if people have different interests and needs, lawyers want to see the full text. Other people might just want to browse through and quickly find an answer to one question they have. They need skimmable headings. And people may need explanations. Here's skimmable headings example. This is really the best part of the library, I think. So the pattern called skimmable headings has examples. When you have picked a pattern, you click on examples and you will see examples of real life contracts. For example, here, Shell was one of the early adopters. They changed their standard terms and conditions, and they have given us permission to show how those terms and conditions, which really were a wall of text, are now an interesting looking different genre altogether. I wish all contracts would look like that, but we need to move on. And here's an example. This is by Rob Waller again. He is an information designer, and he and his summer school team commented on the European model clauses for responsible and sustainable supply chains. They suggested changes, and on top you'll see how one paragraph in these EMCs looks and reads. It's 93 words in one sentence. It's way beyond recommendations by EU and others who want to write clearly. So with graphic structure, they didn't change a word. They just restructured the text and added some subheading looking things. The new version really is completely different and so much more easy to read. So this is something even I can do. I can change text like that, and I will recommend you to try it. It really gives a whole different impression. On the next one, I have another example. Before they did an intervention, this is an EMC clause again, and let's go to the after example. Now they have changed words and simplified text, turned it to plain language, and then again given it graphic structure. These examples and other examples you can find in the comments. They have been published, and you will get the link afterwards. So if you want to go and see how small things can really make big changes if we want to simplify complex text and make sure that people want to read and find answers, and hopefully also act on these so that the goals are reached.
Mm-hmm.
This is now an example of what we have done. And this is just a quick example saying that even if someone like myself, who's very clumsy with technology, if I could build 2023 a GPT myself, then it must be intuitive to do so. And I use that GPT builder of OpenAI to build a chattable contract companion. So anyone can go and chat with their contract. And you can do that too. And you can do that with even your ordinary ChatGPT if you like to. So there's so much that makes life easier now for us who want to make the life of other people simpler. And there's other AI tools. Here's one, you may have access to it. Here's Adobe Assistant explaining, summarizing the EMCs. It does quick overview, and then it's just questions like provide a list of 5 most important points, or how are stakeholders engaged in the human rights and environmental due diligence process. So stakeholder engagement, that's one of Ebru's topics.
Regarding time-wise, I think if I can maybe skip a couple of slides, Helena, would it be okay for you? And then maybe we can directly go to the future directions.
Let's do that. And if there are questions related to these, then we can get back.
Can come back to the slides, exactly. So we will be skipping these, but what we want to say is that for the future, we would like to offer this slide where we explain that the mainstreaming in legal design is like something that we want to see. Also, the standardization efforts in the plain language area. Maybe Helena can speak a little bit more about this when we have the question and answers. Expanding research and collaboration in interdisciplinary networks, and policy alignment, the EU goals of simplification, especially in the sustainability field. And finally, AI and legal design integration, where Helen also showed us the last bit of the tools that we can also think about how we can use it in our work. And Helena.
Right, this is my final slide. I would like to mention the book that is coming by Rob Waller, which is already a prototype is available, Things and Information Designers Should Know. So Rob Waller says that complexity is not the enemy. It doesn't have to be a curse. It is something that we can help live with. We can build an interface. We can let the complexity stay where it is needed, and then we can help navigation. We can build ways to find what we need, understand what we find, and use it. So we can produce a simpler experience, because there's simplification for numbers, volumes, there's simplification for quantity, but we are more into simplification of quality, which means making it easier for the reader, for the user to use the text or the work product that we produce. It's not making it shorter. Sometimes, often actually, if you add pictures, for example, it will make it longer, but the user experience of the reader is much better, and the product is more useful and usable, and that's what we want to reach. So that was all we had prepared, and we want to say thanks and open the floor for questions.
Great, thank you so much, Helena and Ebru, for this very insightful talk. We'll stop the recording now and let anyone who has questions